Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. Finally have a chance to get out and do some hiking around on our property. It was just about 90 degrees today, but it's cooling off now since we're getting close to dusk, and the smoke is finally cleared out most of the way, so it's a lot easier to breathe and really beautiful time to be out in the woods. So I wanted to do just a quick discussion on my thoughts of what's kind of a popular topic right now, which is, as you can see from the title of this video, what's wrong with the fitness industry. And there's been a lot of different videos talking about this, people ranting about the so-called fake natties and all the poor information that's being put out there, and a lot of other issues, which are all valid points. But I wanted to give a slightly different take on it, which is that the entire fitness industry and fitness influencers and that sort of thing, it's a misnomer. And actually, the vast majority of content on social media has nothing to do with actual fitness. And I know some people might be a little surprised by that or find that a controversial opinion. I don't know who ever came up with that term, the fitness industry, in the first place, but it's become kind of the standard that everybody uses to describe it, and tends to be used for any sort of content that involves exercise at all, including a huge amount of really stupid content on social media that is strictly to get views. So, just to clarify, I found what I think is a pretty good article defining broadly what fitness actually is. And I will put a link to that article in the description. But it talks about strength and muscle endurance, but it also discusses cardiovascular health and flexibility and just general resistance to illness, building up the whole body. There's a lot more to fitness than just being strong or fast or something. And I encourage people to read the article. It goes into a lot more detail. But I tend to agree with the overall opinions in the article of how to define fitness. So with that in mind, I would say the vast majority of content on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all these other platforms that is referred to as fitness industry has nothing whatsoever to do with that. Most of it, honestly, is about aesthetics. That seems to be what gets way more views than anything else. It has millions and millions of followers at different channels and so on. It's all about getting the extreme physique for guys, like huge amounts of muscle and ultra lean, just 6 or 8 pack abs and all that sort of thing. And of course, women's physique now, they're really into the whole glute thing and all of that. But I mean, you see it all the time, those things referred to as fitness influencers and people discussing what's wrong with the fitness industry. And to be clear, if all you're doing is trying to build up the maximum amount of muscle and get as lean as possible, that's not even healthy. And especially if you're trying to sustain that year-round, it is just harmful to the body long-term. And I realize that most of them are lifting weights or doing calisthenics or different things to attain those physiques. But honestly, the most extreme ones that tend to be the most popular and get the most views, also many of them abuse PEDs, which is extremely harmful to the body long term. And while they might deny that, a lot of them are getting rich by doing that. And to people that don't know any better, they hear that referred to as the fitness industry, and they see that as the standard and what they want to attain. And so it's really encouraging a lot of young, impressionable people to do things that are the exact opposite of fitness. And it's just really a harmful thing to keep referring to those sorts of channels as fitness related. It's good to encourage resistance training and a diet to lose some weight and stay healthy. But anything that goes to extreme, trying to pack on as much muscle as possible and get to ridiculously low body fat, is just pretty much the exact opposite of fitness. And while I don't know what we should call something like that, it needs a different name, because that's the big problem with it, is just continuing to call it that. And then as far as some of the other stuff that broadly falls into that category, some of it is performance related. There's a lot of good channels about training for strongman or powerlifting or CrossFit or any of those. And, at least to a certain point, that can be encouraging fitness. But any of them, when they get into the extreme, going for maximum weights on a regular basis and doing ego lifts or any other sorts of bizarre, dangerous stuff, or, just training to compete at the top level, that is also not fitness. A person can be massively strong or really fast and good at doing certain movements, and yet be tearing up their body and causing a lot of long-term harm. Like current world's strongest man, Mitchell Hooper, has some good talks where he discusses that when he's at his strongest is not when he's healthy, and how he gets out of bed in the morning and hurts all over, and just some of the stuff he goes through. And he's very open about the difference between performance and health. And, healthy is part of fitness. So if you're doing things to be at the top level of your sport, that's great. People do what they have to compete, if that's their goal, and if they have the talent and the genetics to be a top level competitor at whatever their sport is. Not that many people can actually do that. So if they have a chance and they can make a living at it, I understand the point in doing it and driving their bodies to the limit all the time. But again, let's not confuse that with fitness. And of course, when you factor in PEDs, just like with the bodybuilding type. If they're using PEDs for any top level athlete, then again, that's causing some long-term harm. And I know there's some who will debate that, but there's just far more potential for heart problems and various other issues, which they might not face right now, but eventually it will come back to haunt them. And so they kind of have to get whatever they can in their sport right now before it catches up with them. But for the average weekend warrior who's just choosing to compete in some of those things or train in that style for the fun of it, they need to dial it back a bit and just look at longevity and overall health. You know, improving one's strength and endurance and speed and all those things are great in moderation. And that's the key. And most social media encourages extremes, not moderation, because, you know, if you're doing things in moderation, you're just not going to get views. That's the reality. So any of these people that are really getting millions of followers and views and likes and all this other stuff, call it what you will, but as I said, don't call it fitness industry. Come up with some other term that actually aligns with reality. And I will say, there are some very good channels out there that kind of focus on overall health and improving strength and mobility and various factors. One in particular that I think is very good, science-based, and also done by somebody who clearly is fit, is High Intensity Health. And it has broad-ranging advice on there about improving strength, but also improving the immune system, eating better, and that sort of thing. And I'll say any channels similar to that, or ones where they're talking about strengthening while also doing prehab or rehab and such, some of them could definitely fall under the umbrella of the fitness industry. But as it's applied right now, that umbrella is way too big and really needs to be scaled back and give people a more realistic idea of what fitness involves. So anyway, I hope that makes sense, and feel free to let me know what you think in the comment section. I understand that my little channel isn't going to get many views, and an opinion like this doesn't agree with what all the influencers are saying, but that's all right. I'm just speaking my piece anyway, getting out and enjoying myself and getting some realistic, real-world, functional fitness and exercise. So, starting to get dark now. I'm going to have to start working my way back towards the house. But hope you've enjoyed my rambling thoughts on this. This has been Republic Jim. I'll talk to you later.